Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Dhanavat pranams to all the devotees. Thank you all very much for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session today. Let's start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadhaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Hare Krishna. So we are in the process of studying the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So we saw here how Krishna is telling Arjuna that tapamyaham aham varsham, right? I give the heat, I give the rain, I am immortality, I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter come from me. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. Iti matva vajante ma buddhabhava samanvitaha. And then we also saw those who follow the Vedic scriptures but still have sense gratification. What happens to them? They get the results of their pious activities. They are able to go to the heavenly planets, and then Kshine Punye Martya Lokam Vishanti. We discussed that, right? So what happens? Kshine Punye means once their pious credits get over, or when the pious credits get exhausted, then they fall down to this material world. So one should not hanker after all of these things which are temporary, but simply worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service. Such kind of benefit, what one gets from devotional service, is eternal, is not temporary, and it will not die with the dying of the body. Right? Krishna says, "Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate." Neha Vikrama Nashosti means there is no loss or diminution in this path of bhakti. Everything else, whatever we do in this material world, it is all one is it's useless if it is not completed, if it is not successfully done. It is Shramaevi Kevalam, it is useless. Secondly, even if it is successfully done and we get the benefits of doing it, it will die with the body. Right? So, Kshine Punya Martya Lokam Vishanti. Whatever benefits we may get in this material world, once the pious credits are exhausted, or when the body is, when the soul leaves the body, everything will be taken away. However, only in Krishna consciousness, the benefit that is accrued is eternal. It does not go away with the passage of the soul from the body, because it is eternal. It is attached to the soul, and the soul is eternal. So let's continue reading from 9.21. 9.21. Okay, let me share my screen. Yeah. 9.21. Yeah. So devotees can raise your hands. Okay. I see some hands up already. Sridhar Prabhu, go ahead. Text number 21.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
Te tham bhukva swargalogam vishalam क्षीणे पुण्ये मध्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्ना सुधागतं काम लभन्ते. Hare Krishna, synonymous, Dandavot Pranam. They come, that bhukva, having enjoyed Swargalogam, heaven, Vishalam, vast, Krsna, being exhausted, Punya, the result of their pious activities, Mantra Logam, to the moral earth, Vishanti, fall down, Evam, thus, three of the three Vedas, Dharmam, doctrine, anuprapante, following, Kada Agam, death and birth, kama, desiring sense enjoyment, labante, attain. Translation by Prabhupada ki Pranam. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to the mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death, perpetual. One who promoted to the higher planetary system enjoys a longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. Yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to the earth upon finishing resultant fruits and pious activities. He who has not attained perfection of knowledge as indicated in Vedanta Sutra, or in the other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about achieving the ultimate goal of life, and he is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planet and then again coming down, as it's situated on the Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes comes down. The purpose is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibilities of coming down, one simply revolve the cycle of birth and death of higher and lower planetary system. One should better to take to the spiritual world to enjoy the eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, and never return to the miserable material existence. Hare Krishna, Dandavot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So this is what we discussed in great detail, right? One who fails to understand Krishna, whatever success he may actually obtain, it is all Shrama eva hi kevalam. It is all useless labor. Why is it useless labor? Because such kind of benefits don't accrue. Ah Brahma Bhavana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Even if one becomes Brahma, when does one become Brahma? When one perfects one's life completely. Then Krishna employs such a person to become Brahma and becomes in charge for the sub-creation or the highest position of a person, right? The highest position in this material world is that of Brahma. But even the position of Brahma is no good. That's what Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. So what is the position of heavenly planets? It's useless, right? So if one wants to enjoy heavenly planets, one wants to enjoy sense gratification, even if one follows the principles of the Vedas, Prabhupada gives a very beautiful example here of a Ferris wheel, right? Ferris wheel, what happens when it goes up? It is so much fun. But when it comes down, it is scary, right? Just like when you go in the lift also, right? When you go up, it is okay. When you come down, it's like, whee, it comes down. No, it is a little, children and all get scared, right? Similarly, with the udan of the flight, right? When the flight takes off or the flight lands, right? Similarly, the Ferris wheel is what? When it goes up, it's like fun. Okay, I want to do it more and more. But when it comes down, then that is the point where one can actually get down and then, take, that is the ground floor. The ground floor is the representative of the earthly planet. The above 7 planets are the Indraloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka, the Tapaloka, and all those lokas. The last planet is the Satyaloka, beyond which there is a Mahatattva, and then the spiritual world. Right? Similarly, below we have the Patala Loka, Talatala, Sutala, and all this, right? The hellish planets are there. Below us, below the earthly planet, the suffering is so much that we cannot focus on Krishna because we are suffering so much. We don't have the intelligence to think also, right? Sometimes when you're so hungry, that time, even if you have to study some small thing, you have to present something, you cannot focus, right? Because the hunger is occupying our mind. So similarly, when the suffering is so much, then we are not able to think. Similarly, when the enjoyment is also so much, we are literally not on the ground. We are jumping in ecstasy. That time also we cannot take any proper decision. That's why they say, don't take any decision when you're too excited or when you're too depressed, right? We have to have a proper frame of mind when we have to take any decision and abide by it, right? So that is why it is also said that the easiest way to go back home, back to Godhead, is from the earthly planet. Of course, it's not that from the heavenly planets one cannot go back, but the enjoyment is so much that one does not think of perfecting one's life. One is so attached to the enjoyment of the heavenly planets, or one is so much suffering in the hellish planets that one does not think of liberation. But Prabhupada tells in one of his lectures how this earthly planet is a proper combination of happiness and distress, right? Once happiness comes, sometimes we are happy, and then when the happiness is taken away, then that condition is actually distress, right? Or rather, when the distress is taken away, that time it is happiness, right? Like you're always having a headache. When the headache is relieved, then what happens? We are feeling happy. Oh, I'm feeling happy now. But it is not happiness. It is just the absence of distress in this material world. This material world is Ashashvatam and Dukkhalayam. So if there is going to be dukkha throughout, but some phases when the dukkha gets reduced, we feel it is sukha. So it is no purpose actually trying to go to either heavenly planets or to remain in this earthly planet, because they are all places of miserable material existence. So where should one try to go? One should try to go back home, back to Godhead. Yad Gatvan Nivartante Tad Dama Paramam Mama. Krishna says, come to my abode where you will eternally enjoy a life of bliss and eternity, bliss and knowledge. Yeah, that's what it is. 9.21. All right. Let's move on. 9.22. Who was reading? Yeah, Vrishabhanu Kanya Mataji can read. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Yes. Very,
Ananya
very important verse.
Chintayan.
Will be our memory. This verse we will memorize for this week. Yeah. Ananya Chintayanto Mam. Yes.
Ananyascintayanto maham ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Synonyms. Ananya, having no other object. Chintayantaha, concentrating. Mam, on me, ye, those who. Janaha, persons. Janaha, person. Paryupasate, properly worship. Tesam, of them. Nitya, always. Abhiyuktanam, fixed in devotion. Yoga, requirements. Kesamam, protection. Kshemam, sorry. Protection. Vahami, carry. Aham, I. But those who, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. But the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back uh, to his material condition of life. Kshema, Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotees to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable conditioned life. Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very wonderful verse, right? Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Kshema means to protect what we already have. Vahamyaham is to carry what we lack. Right? This verse is talking about, Krishna himself is talking about the pure devotees of the Lord. Right? The pure devotees of the Lord. That's why Krishna does not give Krishna Prem very easily to anybody and everybody. Right? A pure devotee of the Lord, when Krishna gives Krishna Prem, because he is captured by the love of the devotee, then Krishna actually does whatever is required for that particular devotee without seeing whether he has promised something else or not, or whether he has to do something else or not. Krishna does not take into account anything else. Right? Krishna simply engages in serving that particular devotee, right, who has captured his heart by attaining Krishna Prema. Why? Because that's what the Lord says here. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. Those who worship me with exclusive devotion, right? Exclusive devotion. Ananya Chintayanto Mam. Ananya means not having anybody else as the object of love. Right? Krishna is demanding personal, exclusive attention, exclusive love. Krishna does not share the love with other demigods or anybody else. Right? Krishna says, Ananya, having no other object of affection, having no other object of concentration. One has to worship me with exclusive devotion. And such people, ye jana paryu pasate. What happens to these people who are fixed in devotion? Nityabhyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. I carry what they lack, and I give them what they lack. I mean, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have, what they already have in terms of bhakti. That is our greatest possession. Right? Our greatest possession is bhakti only. That is only our eternal possession. So Krishna not only maintains our bhakti, but Krishna also helps us advance in devotional life. Krishna makes us always remember him, never forget him. Krishna enables us to perform the Nava Angas of Bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam, right until it's completely surrendering to the Lord. Krishna enables us to perform devotional service, provided we have the desire to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And then Krishna provides everything, all the resources. This body itself is provided by the Lord, right? So whatever are the senses that we use, resources that we use to render devotional service, they are also provided to us by the Lord only. So the Lord gives whatever we lack, the Lord preserves whatever we have, like that. And whatever we have is also given by the Lord only. Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead. Text number 23.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanat Pranam.
Dandavat. येऽप्यन्य देवता भक्त्या येऽप्यन्य देवता भक्ता यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्यविधिपूर्वकम्. Ye, those who, api also, anya of other devata gods, bhaktya devotees, yajante worship, shraddha anvitah with faith, they api also, ma me eva only, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, yajanti, they worship avidhi purvakam, in a wrong way. Translation: those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Purport: persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is offered to me indirectly. Krishna says, for example, when a man pours water on leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Thirdly, the process of rendering to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidhi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So in one case, in one place, Krishna says, I only give them the faith by which they worship the demigods. In another place, Krishna is saying it is unnecessary. Why? Why does it? There's a little bit of duplication, what do you call it? Dichotomy. There is a kind of conflict in what Krishna is saying, right? But those who are not able to surrender to the Krishna, right? That those who are so much attached to material sense gratification, they are not able to directly surrender to Krishna. For such people, at least the process of evolution. That is why there is this Purana for those who are in the Rajasic mode. There is the Puranas for those who are in the Tamasic mode, right? Because they are not able to directly worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For example, if somebody is not able to give up meat eating, then it is said that on Amavasya day you can take the goat and offer it to Kali, and then you can take the meat, right? In that case, what happens? At least the sinful reactions is reduced to a considerable extent because you are following the Vedic scriptures. Secondly, you are also regulated. It's not that every day you go and eat whatever you like. Uncontrolled sense gratification is at least not there. At least you're regulated. You do it at least once a month. You offer it to Devi Kali, and then you take that like that. So some people cannot surrender to the Supreme Lord. At least if they worship the demigods, then they will at least come within the ambit of the Vedic scriptures. Slowly, when their consciousness is evolved, then they will at last come to the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why it is said, they also worship me, but then they worship me indirectly. And Krishna does not approve of this indirect worship, right? But if somebody is so fallen that they cannot take up, then they are considered criminals actually. Like for example, if you want a seat, or if you want some kind of recommendation, right? You bribe the government officer. Then what happens if the police comes to know of it? Then you will be behind the bars. It's a criminal activity. It is not correct to bribe the officers and thereby get some benefits, right? We can follow the Vedic scriptures. We can follow the rules, right? They say that if you fulfill these rules and if you fulfill these criteria, then automatically you'll be eligible for certain things. If you follow those rules and fulfill that criteria, you're legitimately okay to take that particular position. But if you are not fulfilling those criteria, but you're unnecessarily or illegally bribing the officers and you're trying to take that particular position, then it is considered criminal. Then you will be subject to punishment. So exactly that's what we are also, those who are worshipping the demigods, you're also doing that only. Why? What are they doing? They're worshipping the demigods in order to get some kind of results. And what is that doing? It is just binding them to this material world. Going up, going down, going up, going down. Performing pious activities, performing sinful activities. And then they are getting bound up in this Janma, Mrityu, Jara and Vyadhi. But at a particular point in time, when a person is frustrated with material life, such a person takes up to the path of Krishna Bhakti, knowing well that everything else is perishable, but the benefits attained by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is only eternal. And such a person does not worship the demigods, right? Whatever may happen, once one reaches the stage of Nishtha, once one reaches the stage of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in all situations, taking it to be the mercy of the Lord, will never worship anybody other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At least he will reach the position of Akama Sarva Kamava Moksha Kamudardi. Whatever desires I may have, I will ask only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I will not worship the demigods. At least that much stage one will attain when one practices devotional service for a considerable period of time. Okay, Shobha Mataji, go ahead. Text number
24. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Go
Srila
ahead. Yeah.
Prabhupada. Aham hi sarvayajnanam bhokta cha prabhuhu eva cha नातु माम् अभिजानन्ति तत्त्वेन आतश्चयवन्ति ते. Synonyms translation Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Aham I. He surely Sarva of all. Yajnanam sacrifices. Bhokta the enjoyer. Cha and Prabhu the Lord. Eva also. Cha and na not two but mam me. Abhijananti they know. Tatvena is reality in reality. Ataha therefore. Chavanti fall down. They. Translation. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Purport. Here it is clearly stated there are many types of yajna performance recommended in the Vedic script literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Yajna or Vishnu, the perfectional form of human civilization known as Varnashrama Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefits. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desires to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Haribol. Thank you, Mataji. Dandal Pranam.
Thank you. Yeah. So this is exactly what we discussed right now. Whatever desires we may have, at least we should only worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yajnatat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If we don't surrender and perform all other activities as a yajna or as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, then what happens? All of such work will bind us to this material world. Whether it is sattva guna or rajoguna or tamoguna, in whatever mode we may perform our work, as long as we don't surrender it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or work for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, who is also the Yajna Purusha. That means he is the Bhuktaram Yajna Tapasam. He is the beneficiary of all the sacrifices. Right? If we don't perform the activities as with the Lord as the beneficiary, then what happens? The results of such activities will bind us to this material world. Hence, what we should do? We should neither worship the devatas, nor should we perform our activity for sense gratification, but we should simply perform our activities as a matter of duty for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that way, we perform what is called a karma, for which we don't get any sinful reactions. We don't get any positive reactions. We don't get any negative reactions also. Okay, text number 25. Full read. Monimala Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Yanti devatam devan pitrin yanti pitribratam bhutani yanti bhutejam yanti jajinam api mam. Yanti achieve devabrata worshippers of demigods, devan two demigods, pitin two ancestors, yanti go, pitrivrata worshippers of ancestors, bhutani two ghosts and spirits, yanti go, bhuteja worshippers of ghosts and spirits, yanti go, mat my, jajina devotees, yapi also mam unto me. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. Purport. If anyone has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destinations by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, technically known as Darsha Purnamasi, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yajna. Raksha, Raksha and Pichasa. Pichasa worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art and they think this is spiritualism. But such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pita achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotee not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajyoti. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhupada explains this very nicely in a lecture. So Prabhupada says, if you take a train, if you want to go to Hyderabad, you need to take a train that goes to Hyderabad. You cannot get into any train and say, I want to go to Hyderabad, right? And if you want to go to Delhi, then you take a train to Delhi. If you go to Hyderabad, you'll have to take a train to Hyderabad, what goes down, to the south. And you have to go to the north, you have to take a train that goes there. Similarly, if you worship the demigods, you will go there. If you worship the Pitrus, you'll go to the Pitru Loka. If you worship the ghosts of the spirits, then you'll go there. But those who worship me will come back to me. So in this verse, the Mayavadis all paths lead to the same destination. Right? Some people claim like that. So this is completely defeating that particular philosophy that all the paths cannot lead to the same destination. Just one second. So those who worship me come to me. That is what is given here by whosever association you want. Right? Prabhupada also said in a lecture that those people who claim to have gone to the moon, right? You cannot go to the moon by mechanical. It's a different planetary system. So if you have to go to a different planetary system, you have to qualify yourself to go to that particular planetary system. Prabhupada also says that even if you have to go to a particular country within this material world, say for example, if you go to America, then what is it that you need to take the visa, you need to take the permission, need to have a passport, you need to have all the documents, and that is being verified there at the immigration counter. If it is found out that you don't have relevant permission, then you are asked to return back to your country. When that is the position, even in this material world, between one country and another country, then how much of a security would be there that you don't qualify yourself? How can you ever go to the moon planet? So those of them who claim that they've gone to the moon planet and say that there is no life there, have not gone to the moon planet. They've gone somewhere else, because there is life even in the sun planet, in the moon planet, because Soma is the lord of the moon planet. He stays within that planet. So to say that there is no life in any of the planets after having gone there is foolishness, because that person is actually not gone there, but he is only hallucinating, or he's under an illusion that he's gone there, right? So that's what here Krishna also says, that you cannot just mechanical means, you cannot go to any place, but you have to qualify yourselves to go there. You have to worship the devatas in order to go to the Devta planets. You have to worship the Pitrus to go to the Pitruloka. Similarly, if you worship Krishna, you can go to Krishna Loka. And the most intelligent person will not worship the other. They will not worship the other people, like the yakshas or the ghosts or the devatas, knowing well that one has to come back to this material world. Intelligent person will do yajantihi so medasaha. The intelligent people will worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in that way they will attain all the they'll attain the benediction of being eternally with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Goloka Vrindavan Dham. All right, so let's go ahead. Very beautiful verse. Okay, probably we'll take it for the next week. The next week verse is this. All right, who'll read this? Sudha Mataji, go ahead. Please diarise this for
Hare
next week. Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, yes.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparatam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Synonyms: patram, a leaf; pushpam, a flower; phalam, a fruit; toyam, water; here, whoever; me, unto me; bhaktya, with devotion; prayachati, offers; tat, that; aham, I; bhakti uparatam, offered in devotion; ashnami, I accept; prayata atmana, from one in pure consciousness. Translation and purport by Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Purport. For the intelligent person, it is essential to be in Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, in order to achieve a permanent, blissful abode for eternal happiness. The process of achieving such a marvelous result is very easy and can be attempted even by the poorest of the poor without any kind of qualification. The only qualification required in this connection is to be a pure devotee of the Lord. It does not matter what one is or where one is situated. The process is so easy that even a leaf or a little water or fruit can be offered to the Supreme Lord in genuine love, and the Lord will be pleased to accept it. No one, therefore, can be barred from Krishna consciousness because it is so easy and universal. Who is such a fool that he does not want to be Krishna conscious by this simple method and thus attain the highest perfectional life of eternity, bliss, and knowledge? Krishna wants only loving service and nothing more. Krishna accepts even a little flower from his pure devotee. He does not want any kind of offering from a non devotee. He is not in need of anything from anyone because he is self sufficient, and yet he accepts the offering of his devotee in an exchange of love and affection. To develop Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. Bhakti is mentioned twice in this verse in order to declare more emphatically that bhakti or devotional service is the only means to approach Krishna. No other condition, such as becoming a Brahmana, a learned scholar, a very rich man, or a great philosopher, can induce Krishna to accept some offering. Without the basic principle of bhakti, nothing can induce the Lord to agree to accept anything from anyone. Bhakti is never causal.
Causal.
The process is causal. The process is eternal. It is direct action in service to the absolute whole. Here, Lord Krishna, having established that he is the only enjoyer, the primeval Lord, and the real object of all sacrificial offerings, reveals what type of sacrifices he desires to be offered. If one wishes to engage in devotional service to the Supreme in order to be purified and to reach the goal of life, the transcendental loving service of God, then one should find out what the Lord desires of him. One who loves Krishna will give him whatever he wants, and he avoids offering anything which is undesirable or unasked. Thus, meat, fish, and eggs should not be offered to Krishna. If he desired such things as offerings, he would have said so. Instead, he clearly requests that a leaf, fruit, flowers, and water be given to him, and he says, "Of this offering, I will accept it." Therefore, we should understand that he will not accept meat, fish, and eggs. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk, and water are the proper foods for human beings and are prescribed by Lord Krishna himself. Whatever else we eat cannot be offered to him, since he will not accept it. Thus, we cannot be acting on the level of loving devotion if we offer such foods. In the third chapter, verse 13,
Mataji,
Sri Krishna explains that.
Mataji, let's
Hare
ask
Krishna.
Leelanandini Mataji to continue. It's a
Okay,
long
okay,
one.
Mataji. Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Yes. Leelanandini Mataji, go ahead. Okay, Deval Mataji, you want to go ahead? Our
Okay,
devotees
Mataji.
able to unmute? Yes.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
In the third chapter, verse 13, Sri Krishna explains that only the remains of sacrifice are purified and fit for consumption by those who are seeking advancement in life and release from the clutches of the material entanglement. Those who do not make an offering of their food, he says in the same verse, are eating only sin.
In other words, every mouthful is simply deepening their involvement in the complexities of material nature. But preparing nice, simple vegetable dishes, offering them before the picture of deity of Lord Sri Krishna, and bowing down and praying for him to accept such a humble offering enables one to advance steadily in life, to purify the body, and to create fine brain tissues, which will lead to clear thinking. Above all, the offering should be made with an attitude of love. Krishna has no need of food since he already possesses everything that be, yet he will accept the offering of one who desires to please him in that way. The important element in preparation, in serving, and in offering is to act with love for Krishna. The impersonalist philosophers who wish to maintain that the absolute truth is without senses cannot comprehend this verse of Bhagavad Gita. To them, it is either a metaphor of or proof of the mundane character of Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita. But in actuality, Krishna, the supreme Godhead, has senses, and it is stated that his senses are interchangeable. In other words, one sense can perform the function of any other. This is what it means to say that Krishna is absolute. Lacking senses, he could hardly be considered full in all opulences. In the seventh chapter, Krishna has explained that he impregnates the living entities into material nature. This is done by his looking upon material nature. And so, in this instance, Krishna's hearing the devotee's words of love in offering foodstuffs is wholly identical with his eating and actually tasting. This point should be emphasized because of his absolute position. His hearing is wholly identical with his eating and tasting. Only the devotee who accepts Krishna as he describes himself without interpretation can understand that the supreme absolute truth can eat food and enjoy it. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna, thank you. Yeah. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya rasujwala vigrahasya govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Right? So Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. With one sense organ, Krishna can perform the function of any other senses. Right? For example, Krishna only glances at the food, and then what happens? The food becomes the bhoga becomes prasadam. Right? Krishna does not need to actually eat also, but at the same time, if he wants to eat, he will eat actually also. Right? You know the pastime of Raghunandan Thakur, isn't it? You discussed it in the past. That when Raghunandan Thakur wanted, as he was as a small boy, he wanted Krishna to eat the bhoga. Krishna personally came and ate the bhoga. So whenever Krishna wants to eat, personally he will come and eat. Otherwise, if he wants to simply glance and accept the bhoga, he will do that. Right? Yata tadava vidadatu lampa. Whatever is his wish, he will act in that particular way. But a devotee is he always offers foodstuffs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the Lord's eating, for the Lord's tasting. So the devotee does not say the Lord is, and if you're going to see with his eyes, let me not prepare very nicely, right? Let me, it does not matter whether I put less salt or more salt. Anyway, the Lord is not eating. It doesn't matter like that, isn't it? We ourselves will not be able to eat. At least for ourselves, we put correct amount of salt, isn't it? So when we offer to the Lord, our consciousness should be that the Lord is tasting the foodstuffs. So I should prepare such wonderful, tasty foodstuffs to the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That should be our consciousness when you're preparing bhoga for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Krishna is saying, I'm not in need of your foodstuffs. Right? Everything emanates from him. Am sarvasya prabho mata sarvam pravarti. Krishna is not in need of our food. Krishna is in need of our love. Krishna, why does Krishna need our love? Because he wants to reciprocate with our love and take us back home, back to Godhead. Krishna is our supreme well-wisher. That is why he's coming again and again to this material world, and he's attracting us to that pastimes of the spiritual world. So we may become attracted to Krishna and the spiritual world, and we may go back home, back to Godhead. That is the purpose. That's why Krishna is saying, you don't have to offer opulent foodstuffs. Just simply offer a leaf or a flower or a fruit, but offer it with devotion. That is, then I will accept it like that. Okay. Okay, we'll end with this. Leelanandini Mataji, able to unmute yourself? Text number 27. Okay, Karpagavali Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Very important verse. We will study these two verses also next week. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Okay.
Karoshi.
Mataji, yat karoshi, yat anyasi, asnasi,
Ashnashi, Yachoshi, Dadasya.
Yacha goshita dasya, yat
Yattapashyati Kaunteya.
tapasyasi kaunteya, tat guru swa
Tattva
synonyms, yet whatever karoshi you do, yet whatever asnasi, yeah, you eat, yet whatever, jugoshi, you give away, yet whatever, tapasyasi, austerities you perform, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, that Kurusva, do mat unto me, Arpanam as an offering. Translation by Prabhupada Kije. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering unto me, to me. Purport, thus it is a duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will not forget Krishna in any circumstance. Everyone has to work for maintenance of his body and soul together. And Krishna recommends herein that one should work for him. Everyone has to eat something to live. Therefore, he should accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. Any civilized man has to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies. Therefore, Krishna recommends, do it for me. And this is called Archana. Everyone has a tendency to give something in charity. Krishna says, give it to me, give it to me. And this means that all surplus money accumulated should be utilized in furthering the Krishna conscious movement. Nowadays, people are very much inclined to the meditational process, which is not practical in this age. But if anyone practices meditating on Krishna 24 hours a day by chanting on Hare Krishna Mahamantra round its base, he is surely the greatest meditator and the greatest yogi, as substantiated by the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Mataji. Dandatnam.
Thank you, Dandat Pranam. Yeah, yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samiyuktatamu mataha. Right? Who's the best of all the yogis? The best of all the yogis is one who always meditates and remembers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who performs all of his activities to further the Krishna consciousness movement, to become more dear to Krishna by performing various activities. And how does one remember Krishna best in this age of Kali? By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with that, we will end our today's session. We'll quickly do Harinam Sankirtan. We'll request devotees Navkishori Mataji and Lila Nandini Mataji will start with you tomorrow as we continue our Bhagavad Gita. Tomorrow is Friday. Yeah. So we'll continue with our Bhagavad Gita. We'll continue from verse number 9.28. So tomorrow you can read. So let's quickly do Harinam Sankirtan. Devotees can switch on your cameras. And then if anyone has any doubts or anything, we can take that 1 or 2 questions. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astatyari Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jagannath Baladeva Jaya Subhadama Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Balagopa Jaya Rukmini Vittal Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha Jaya Lakshmi Nrsimha Jaya Guruvayurappa Jaya Radha Mata Jaya Radha Gopinath Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Jai Jai Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol कलिगवचित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णवा वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in for our Bhagavad Gita study session. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll try to complete this chapter tomorrow. 934 verses in this chapter. We'll complete it tomorrow, and then Monday we go back to our teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So I don't see any hands up. I'm able to see Sridhar Prabhu, Harjit Mataji, Rohini Mataji, Rishabhanu Kanya Mataji, Shobha Mataji, Nisha Mataji, Rajneesh Prabhu, Anjana Mataji, Karpagavali Mataji, Monimala Mataji. Thank you all for joining in. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasintu bhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. So meet you all tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Srila Prabhupada Srila Gurudev ki